I mean, everybody is familiar with this album. Everybody is familiar with this album. That's Symbolic.
Yep.
The reason I would pick up this because, like,
As we grow it
there
up.
was a time like when I was getting into school, like getting introduced to all this death metal and black metal bands, and everything had a very brutal, gory reference. Like if you because back in the days, you picked up cassette and you start reading the lyrics. And when I picked this up, this lyrics were not exactly how I was checking death metal as when I saw Cannibal Corpse lyrics, and in those times, like in late 90s or yeah. So it's like when the lyrics actually really inspired me, and that's how like it started listening repeatedly. Like it is very common among I think people like that as a band, but I kind of like got in the lyrics so much that then I started thinking like okay, extreme metal probably has a separate stand as well rather than going, I mean, in a thoughtful approach basically, rather than going all gory and brutal. So yeah, this is one of the album like I would pick up like one of the important album from 95, I mean, at least for me, because this became like one of the what do you call milestone for me while learning this extreme music, lyric wise, because this is where I actually like, I will not say this is the only album which taught me, but one of those albums where I could learn actually. Extreme metal has a very thoughtful way of thinking lyrics and approach as well. So yeah, this is what I thought of picking up. I like other death album. For suppose Leprosy is my favorite album by them, but yeah, I think this is what lyrically like what I got, why I got into death so much. Like because of this, because I could read the lyrics at the time. And yeah, so other two, I would speak only one right now because there's others waiting as well. So yeah, this is what I picked basically. I think a lot of you, if I'm not wrong, uh, are not much into Symbolic as well, is it?
I'll tell
I
you,
I have
yeah.
a lot of time in my life.
I like it.
I
I
like
love it.
Symbolic,
Symbolic is an
I
album
love
most
it.
of us
Close with you.
started with in the first place. I
Yeah.
think.
I
I mean,
haven't
at least
listened to
the
the full album.
90s born
100%.
ones here.
Yeah.
90s born
I
ones here definitely started with Symbolic. That's for sure. Because I personally, my introduction to death was two songs. I think, Crystal Mountain and Lack of Comprehension
Comprehension.
Yeah.
for
Through pirated
early
CDs.
2000s.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was for everyone.
and funnily, the other albums, Leprosy and stuff, it didn't go down well when I heard them as a kid.
Yeah.
Those mattered to me after a few years when I actually started to understand the history of death metal, how it came up, the point, the purpose behind it, the motive behind it, what bands were trying to do in the 80s and 90s with regards to death metal or any extreme genre, as you can say. So yeah, I mean, uh, Symbolic slowly that way when I started, discovering more music, it kind of died down, watered down, but definitely it has a very good, very, I mean, it has a great nostalgic factor to it. I
Right.
mean, one of the gateway albums to death metal for sure. Symbolic was definitely childhood, but yeah, I think with time it kind of died down. Good reminder to listen to it again.
I
No, I
actually I heard Scream Bloody go first. Uh, so that what I actually like about, see, this is one of those albums. If you guys think like maybe I'm wrong, GK, you can comment. So all this is where actually black metal also like attracted to me, like the lyrical approach. So yeah, we are all into like extreme stuff and all gory and all those kind of stuff at the time. But when I saw the lyrics on the booklet, or so there's a huge shift from Scream Bloody Glow to what do you call Symbolic,
yeah.
right? So the
Yeah.
songwriting is on Symbolic. If you guys read, like this was not written uh just for the sake of okay, let's make an album and write lyrics like random killing and cutting output and let's make it extreme. It is definitely not made in that sense. In fact, if you listen to Perennial Quest, you would if you listen to it by lyric wise, it would probably relate to your own self, what you were going through your life and stuff like that. So yeah, so this is the reason why I chose this was the lyric. Obviously, the other album also, Human, also has similar lyrics. I feel, yeah, Sound of Perseverance as well. But
Death has
yeah,
been
Right
like
from
a
spiritual healing, they
philosopher's
shifted the
band, right?
lyrical themes.
Correct.
yeah. So it had a very well thought lyrics, and I think this is why important for me from here. One of these albums from here where I started looking extreme metal as something very serious, that I take it very seriously, like lyric wise. Like, yeah, I mean, not saying the other bands who write about killing, cutting, and whatever, they're bad or they have a different approach. But yeah, there's a definitely this approach actually, like, like thoughtful lyrics
Right.
that got me attracted to one of the albums who got me into it.
I
That
think
I can.
It
I personally think
it also comes back to a little more traditional approach than Human, where they're way more technical and progressive
Technical.
in comparison.
Yeah.
So this one brings it back to a little more straightforward. Not fully.
Yeah.
They still
It's a
have
lot
those
more
prog
groovy
elements,
also.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
but it has
So what I was
great
about to
riffs.
say, yeah. So what I was about to say is, for me, Symbolic is like a fork in the road when it comes to death metal. The roads go separate once Symbolic was released, because before this, death metal was something else. Yeah, you had your Human, you had all of these great albums, like Atheists had released their albums. You had introspective lyrics and brutal albums, like you guys mentioned with Suffocation. But tech death, as we know it, along with Gorguts, I think started
Even
blowing
Gorguts.
up. Yeah, started blowing up after Death Symbolic. And one major aspect of that is, yeah, lyrically, it's great. Most important factor of that is accessibility. I think everything else was, a little more impenetrable. You needed to be a little more dyed in the wool to get into the other sorts of more extreme forms of death metal. What Chuck did, and that is where his genius is he made an album. In fact, he made 3 albums with very heavy subjects, and he made it accessible so that even a random, like, I discovered this when I was 12 years old. A 12-year-old can pick it up and he can discover something there. You listen to Crystal Mountain, it speaks to you, even though it's overplayed massively. I know Vikram, he mentioned it's like that sweet child of mine of extreme metal, which is true. It's absolutely true, but it's also, yeah, nothing else matters. But you listen to Symbolic. It talks about reminiscing about what you used to be as someone who is facing who's at the end of his life. Stuff like that. These are very heavy themes. Way back when in '95, especially in a genre which was just blowing out, And I think for that, Chuck Schuldiner will forever be one of the heroes of extreme metal.
Right.